This is Plasticity. I don't know anything about it except that it was free and it looked pretty on Steam. And that's basically all it took. So let's find out what it is together. Control? Okay, I'm hitting control. Oh wait, is it right control? I don't know why it says control. Well, this might be a really short video if I can't figure out how to climb a fence. Do I have to hold control? Well, yeah. Or is it... Does control let me grab this thing, maybe? Oh, that's what the control was for. I ran past the box before I noticed the hint. Okay, well, that makes sense. So let's... do I climb up on the box? Okay, yes, I do. Oh, there we go. Okay, that makes sense. Can I... Ooh. What? I just broke the screen? I'm a terrible person. Alright, well, let's... When I was a kid, my mother would tell me, don't go playing in the trash. It was hard not to when the trash was everywhere. This actually kind of reminds me of when I was a kid. I watched G.I. Joe, and they did these like public service announcements at the end of the episode. You know, the knowing is half the battle thing. And I think one of them was about not hiding in a fridge when you play hide and seek with your friends in the junkyard. And I was like, people play hide and seek with their friends in the junkyard? Like, I was, you know, one of the first generations of like overprotected kids that were raised in the 80s. And so for me, I was just like, I was watching this. I was like, you know, all these people who were raised in the 50s were making this video warning kids like, hey, when you're just out unsupervised playing in the junkyard with all your friends, don't hide in a refrigerator. And I was just like, this is completely like, what? What are you talking about? But today I did actually remind my son not to play in a refrigerator, because we actually do have an old refrigerator in our carport. And he started opening it and messing with it. I was like, do not get in there, because we will not find you. And anyway, yeah, I'm not going to follow that thought any further. Oh, what? Okay, please tell me that's a dog with a bucket on its head and not this is what dogs are in this world. Oh. Okay. For a second, I thought I was just falling through the world. I thought I'd found a bug. No, this is actually intentional. Okay, cool. So what is up with this world? This feels almost like I was left behind by the spaceships in WALL-E. Just piles and piles of trash everywhere. Oh, Rainier says this reminds me of Limbo. Yeah, or maybe Inside. You know, it's got a similar art style to that. Can I, like... Oh, yeah. Control. There we go. Interesting. So I'm assuming this is not actually a window I'm looking through. This is just a missing front wall. I'll never forget what my mother always told me. That even when all hope seems lost, it's never too late to do the right thing. I can't quite tell what I have there. Oh, it's one of those things. My mother always told me how wonderful it was to grow up at Avalon Island. And now she's gone? What does that mean? So, Awesome Twitch Dude asks if I prefer mouse and keyboard or if I prefer controllers. It really entirely depends on the genre. I mean, obviously, there's some genres that absolutely depend on a mouse and keyboard. action games, the ones that rely on like melee combat and quick reflexes and stuff like that, I much prefer to play with a controller. State of Decay 2, I prefer to play with a controller. When I'm testing at work, I'll often use a mouse and keyboard because it's just more convenient not to have to switch. But yeah, controller whenever I'm going to be playing for a long period of time. Oh, that's sad. For years, nobody knew how much plastic was in their food. By the time my mom found out, it was too late. Oh. I was just thankful my mother was not in pain anymore. So interesting. When I saw that this game was free, I wasn't quite sure what to expect from it. It looks like this is someone's art project, basically. It's like a sort of, creating this atmosphere, creating this world. This is probably a message game. I set out to Avalon Island. I needed a home, and I knew it was a beautiful place. I had to keep moving forward, but often had more than one way past any obstacle. But okay, that's that's a little on the nose, tutorial-wise. I can see one way past this obstacle that is similar to what I've done in the past. I don't know what the other options might have been. Whee! Oh! Ow. That kid does not know how to take a fall. Whee! Oh, hey, some other kid. Can I join that kid? Looks like he's just atmosphere. Okay. He's set dressing. Okay, there's multiple kids out here. Where are the adults? Are they all dead from eating plastic? Okay, looks like we've got a box. Okay, interesting the way they're handling this. So I'm over here, and then I'm hitting W. I'm hitting up, and I just hop over to the side. It's not really intuitive that that's how it works. In theory, like in my head, I'm like, if I were designing this game, I'd be like, oh, players won't figure that out. That's not intuitive enough. But as a player, I did immediately figure it out. So it's interesting realizing sometimes that my intuitions about what's going to be easy to do and what's not going to be easy to do can sometimes be wrong. I'm assuming that that what I want is for this thing to fall down so I can use it to get over that wall of boxes. Can I push it from this side? Okay, I guess that works. Doing these these 2D games in a 3D world and figuring out how to handle interacting with things in front or behind you, it's really complex. I mean, my kids love to play Never Alone, which is another game that mechanically worked very much like this. And there was a lot of that sort of question, like, things that are not in the 2D plane, how do they work? Like in that game, you have two co-op characters who are both sharing the screen with each other, interacting with some of the same stuff, but they can't be in the same plane. One of them has to be in front of the other one. But they both had to interact with some of the same things. And solving those problems can be actually more complex than it feels when you're a player. Oh, interesting. So I had to hit Control to grab the thing, but then still push it down in order to manipulate it. And again, I would be afraid as a designer that that's too hard to figure out, but I did figure it out. So without much fuss even. It's just, when I hit Control, he definitely grabbed it. And then intuitively, I was like, oh, well, then I should probably gesture downwards. Every morning, birds would go out to fish for their families. By noon, their bellies were full of rotten sea garbage. Okay, so I can't get this thing past this bar, which means... What does that mean exactly? Let's see, do I need to use this lever to, like, lift this gate? Is that... Oh, wait. Grab. Pull down. Okay, does it have to go all the way? Maybe it does. Okay, and then this. Okay, I just moved a bunch of stuff. I made the water flow that direction? Is that what I did? Okay, I'm not sure what difference I made exactly. I see a red box down below moving. Is that significant? I guess maybe I don't need that red box? No, I need something to help me climb this. Okay, so how am I going to get this red box? And why did I need that lever to reverse the flow? Okay, I'm weirdly stuck when I move this way. I think that's probably just a bug. Alright. So now what happens when I push this thing down? Ah! Okay, it moves. Okay, because the flow of the water is to the right, that means that it floats above the bar and moves to the right, and then... Okay, this is kind of a complicated puzzle. Like, I didn't get in advance how this worked. I kind of had to poke around. But, you know what? I mean, just doing the only obvious thing at each step of the way did actually get me through it. Yeah, so this game keeps impressing me by, like, doing counterintuitive things that nevertheless aren't that hard to figure out. Like, it keeps surprising me that way. And you can tell, there's a lot of aspects of this game that are not very polished. My character's animations for, say, getting to the top of a ladder, the process of knocking down, pushing a box to the edge of something and knocking it down. None of these things have the custom animations that it takes to make them look right, relative to other games. So, like, what that means is that they had a very limited animation budget, limited time to to put into developing the characters, like behavior code. Can I get on this thing? But they had enough. They had enough to make it work. Oh wow, okay, there we go. My character does not look very comfortable. Oh, time goes by. One thing I've been thinking a lot about, sort of the way game worlds are built. Game worlds tend to be physically much smaller than an analogous, like, real world place would be. If you make a village in a video game, it's much smaller than a village of that type would be in the real world. If you're doing, like, a long road trip in a video game, if you actually mapped out the number of miles you cover, it's much smaller than a similar trip would be in reality by like orders of magnitude. And you could think of that as being sort of unrealistic, but for the same way that a movie uses editing to sort of cut by all the boring parts. You never see the characters go to the bathroom. You don't see them take entire long road trips. Everything gets sort of compressed in the story. Similarly, games are telling a story about something happening over over some period of time. But because there's no editing, you actually are controlling your character continuously. they skip time, and they, not by editing and cutting out travel time, they skip time by compressing the size of the world so it's easier to get from point A to point B. Like, I've been playing the latest, like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and there are sequences where I'm like, I just was in a plane crash, and then I went from that location to this location, and from this location to a village, and none of the villagers are aware of the plane crash. And I'm like, they could not have missed the plane crash. It is so close. But what the game is suggesting is that actually, if you had had this experience in the real world, you would have traveled dozens of miles to get to this village from where you started. But it's only a couple of miles because game worlds are just generally compressed. And so that's kind of the impression this game is giving me, is that, you really want to imagine this character just crossed a much wider body of water. But it's represented as a much smaller body of water in the game world so that your movement can be continuous. So they can tell a story of a character traveling a long distance without you physically, as a player, having to spend days covering that distance. And so it's a conceit that we just sort of accept as players, is that that all of the places that we play games are smaller than they would be in reality. I had no idea that Avalon was in ruins, just like everywhere else. Oh, so it's a lone island now. Well, that makes sense. Ranith Cord says that Desert Bus exists to be the exception that proves a rule. Yeah, exactly. It's like Desert Bus is an accurate representation of a distance that is ridiculous and that would never, ever be traveled in a video game. I met a girl at the beach who had also lost hope. Our world seemed doomed. Yeah, we're all just being buried under mountains of trash. Whoa. But my mom told me that even when all hope seems lost, it's never too late to do the right thing. So she just starts putting trash in a can. I mean, looking at, the sheer amount that we're dealing with here, she still starts working. That's... Hey, nice shot. That actually is kind of inspiring. But yeah, that moment where everyone sort of starts in the air and then falls, that is really, really common. Most games, at some point or another, have those moments, and you have to find some solution to them so the players don't see them. This game didn't have the time and the money to solve all of those. So wait, am I supposed to help her? Oh, there we go. Okay, so I just hold down Control. And hey, wait a minute. Wait. Oh, I didn't do enough. I didn't realize that's what I was doing. Can I... Okay, so I'm assuming I just have to get all the red ones, and oh, hey, another kid's helping. Wait, notice how my character turns his head to face where he's throwing you, even though they really didn't have the time and money to make this fully realistic. They did put effort into making things line up, making the characters' actions look intentional. Oh, wow, hey. Is that me again after years? Oh, hey. We fixed the sign, too. Where did we put all that trash? Is my question. We realized that instead of running away to find a new home, we needed to nurture and care for the home we have. So yeah, it's taking me through this sort of... My journey had some rock bottom moments, but now we're at the other side of it. I wanted to bring what I learned here, how to clean and help the world, to the places I went to as a child. Rainier, I have played Pathologic. I played Pathologic 2 actually on my channel just a couple months ago, I think. If you scroll back in my YouTube feed, you can find it. I didn't play it that long. It's one of those games. It's kind of like it's intimidatingly dense and difficult to penetrate. So I had trouble sticking with it because I mean, you know me, I don't have the greatest attention span, but I did try it out, and it was really interesting the way that they presented things. Okay, so I just spent, it looks like, years of my life on Avalon Island. And now I'm coming back here. I actually suspected that that was going to be the end of the game, that this was just going to be a very small mood piece, and that was going to be it. But apparently there's more to this game than I realized. Ow. Man, I do not know how to land a fall. The decisions I made as a child had an impact on my world. Can I grab this? But I understand even now I can do the right thing. Okay, it feels like I can't grab that. Wow, I'm larger now. Like, I'm manipulating the same things, but I'm a bigger person. They had to kind of retarget those animations. Or maybe it seems like maybe they're just using IK. Oh, okay, so because I'm knee-deep in water, there's this weird little collision thing here where it's like I get hung up on the floor every single time. So I'm using the flow of the water to tip the ladder over. That works. I like how they're being efficient with their space. They built these levels and they're reusing them. Whoa, what? Okay, I've got... Oh yeah, I remember this place. Rainier just subscribed to my YouTube. You know what? Everyone should subscribe to my YouTube. That's probably about the most YouTuber thing I've ever said. What would the world be like if I had made different choices? Wait, there are different choices to make? Huh. Interesting. So wait a minute. Wait a minute. What would have happened if I hadn't clicked that restart button? Would I have gotten an ending? I don't know. I don't know what. So I mean, I'm not just gonna play the entire game a second time on the stream. That is not what you came here for. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna leave the mystery of the ending as a thing for you to discover as a player. This game is free. If you're interested in this game, there is no reason not to check it out. So I think maybe we'll just leave that there. Let me just switch over to my end screen and throw up some videos and a subscribe button and all of that stuff. And yeah, follow Rainier's example and definitely push this button because, you know, that's what YouTubers tell people to do. I don't know. If you want to be around to see this hair get terrible, stick around.